Hey there, MJ traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Happy Monday. It's Monday, January 6th. Hope you had a great weekend. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Trudeau resigning and whether or not the incoming prime minister, who is slated to be, as of right now, it's the most likely scenario, is going to be Pierre Poilievre. So we'll discuss whether or not he's going to be good for the MJ industry. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on this. I'm not going to get political or anything like that. I am from Canada, but politics is my least favorite thing in the world. So I just want what's best for the country, what's best for the people, and what's best for the MJ industry. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. And if you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future content. You can also follow us over on X, on Elon's platform, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. So Trudeau could go down as the most hated PM in Canadian history. Personally, I have mixed feelings with regards to him. I mean, we did get MJ legalization at the federal level here in Canada done under his watch, and that was pretty much why he got put into office in the first place. And then now he's on his way out, and it's his own party essentially encouraging him to do the same, right? We know that he doesn't stand a chance, and his own party right now is turning on him because he's just not polling well. And Trump actually responded to Trudeau's resignation by suggesting that Canada merge with the US. So Trump is set to take office in just 2 weeks and slap tariffs on Canada while Trudeau remains in a lame duck session as the prime minister. So Justin Trudeau's resignation as Liberal leader comes just 2 weeks before Donald Trump takes office as U.S. president, while threatening to impose 25% tariffs on all imports from Canada on day one. And Trudeau said he will stay on as prime minister until his successor is chosen, and creating the prospect that Canada will still have a lame duck head of government, just as its biggest trading partner hits its exports with steep tariffs. And Trump has been joking a lot about how Trudeau, the 51st governor of the governor of the 51st state, and the great state of Canada. So whether or not there's talks about they want to acquire Greenland as well, whether or not that happens, I highly doubt it. A lot of experts have been saying for many decades now that the U.S. would be coming after our natural resources. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to rule anything out at this point. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, that we're going to end up part of the U.S. or anything. But curious to hear what everybody's thoughts and opinions are in the comments section below. And interesting to see how that would ever even play out with regards to MJ legalization, right? Because we know the U.S. is illegal at the federal level. So how do you amalgamate the two? It'd be an interesting dynamic and scenario, but I don't think that is the most likely scenario. But overall, I think this is good. Under Trudeau, we've had a very high tax regime, and I think, with the incoming, we don't know for sure. There still has to be an election. They talked about this in the Jordan B. Peterson podcast. If you haven't seen this was back on January 2nd. I originally found out about it from Elon Musk. He actually said, great interview, and I watched it, and it was a great interview. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long. And overall, I was very impressed. He reminds me a lot of Trump, not going to lie. He's just very pro-business, very pro-capitalism, pro-common sense, pro the Canadian people and the people that he works for, right? Same thing with Trump, I think. And it's almost like, the old globalist agenda, which I think Trudeau was a part of, it's almost like that agenda is done, right? And now in the US, it's the same thing. That old globalist agenda is done, and we have the new one. And the new one is just, you've seen it with Canada now in this interview here with Pierre Poilievre and Jordan B. Peterson. It's just, they're all singing the same tune, essentially, just pro-common sense, pro-business, pro-capitalism, pro-American people, pro-Canadian people, right? And getting back to what the government was supposed to do. It was supposed to work for the people and be put there for the people, by the people, right? So overall, I think this is a great thing. He talks about lowering taxes, and he's very pro-crypto as well, and blockchain. From what I've gathered, he mentioned it in this, and talks about data centers and things like that. But this has got almost 2.5 million views on this video just from January 2nd. So I highly encourage you to check that out. But I did go over and I asked Grok, what is Pierre Poilievre's stance on MJ policy? So his stance on MJ policy in Canada has been somewhat complex and has evolved over time. So I won't go through the whole details, but essentially he initially voted against Bill C-45, which was the legislation that legalized MJ in Canada in 2018. And this indicates he was not in favor of legalization at that time. However, post-legalization, he believes that he has made statements indicating that MJ would remain legal under a conservative government led by him. So that's fine. He seems to be all for it. And then there was some information here with regards to tax, so potential policy adjustments. While he supports keeping MJ legal, Poilievre has been associated with discussions of adjusting the tax regime for MJ to potentially benefit small producers and has shown interest in using revenue for broader drug prevention and treatment programs. What does that remind you of? Very similar to what RFK Jr. has been saying as well when he was running and then eventually backed out and endorsed Trump. So he said the same thing with treatment centers and things like that. So I think this is very good overall. So in conclusion, Pierre Poilievre has moved from opposing MJ legalization to acknowledging it as legality and indicating no intention to reverse it if he becomes prime minister. So overall, I think this is a good thing. He talks about, like I said, lowering taxes. And even whenever Trump said this, about Canada becoming part of the U.S., he said that we would lower your taxes by about 60%. So overall, I think that's a big issue right now is taxes. We know that Canada is very, very high taxes, and they're looking to reverse those capital gains taxes as well, which would be great to see. But it's only for anything over $250,000 in terms of cap gains. But overall, I think it's still a little bit outlandish here. We shouldn't have this much tax. Originally, taxes were just supposed to be a temporary thing, right? And then they were supposed to go back down or go away completely, but they just continue to ramp up. So overall, I think this is, and it matches the Trump administration stance as well, right? The new inauguration of the new administration here in a couple of weeks, they want to abolish tax as much as possible. They even talked about no tax on American issued crypto. So it just seems like they're all singing the same tune, and I think it's all part of the plan. Nothing happens, without many years of planning, and this just seems like it's way too coincidental for it to all be happening at the same time. So overall, I think this is great. He's very pro-business, pro-common sense, and I think he could potentially improve excise taxes here in Canada. There's talks that we could see rescheduling at some point in 2025. It's imminent. It's basically a slam dunk, done deal, not a matter of if, but when. Some people are saying it could be, experts are saying 30 to 90 days. But I think, probably in the back half of 2025 is realistic. And then around that same time, we should see improvements to excise taxes. The Canadian budget is set to come out as well in February, I believe, at the end of February. So next month. And we could see an improvement to excise taxes. But we'll see who is going to succeed Trudeau. But there still need to be an election, right? But whoever leads the Liberal Party after is going to have a tough job and a tough battle to beat Poilievre. But essentially, there still has to be another election, and that could be any time between March and the fall. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't think anybody is going to beat Poilievre, actually. And then, I think that would be good for excise taxes. I think you want to bring that down and just bring more business here and help the MJ industry. Also, in other news, Tilray Medical wins tender to supply Luxembourg with medical MJ. So this is great to see. Congrats to the Tilray fam. If we take a look at the MJ sector on the day today, we had Oxley, DB, and CL leading the bull list today. So, not a huge day in terms of momentum shifting or anything like that. It's just been kind of a mixed bag. I mentioned in a POW group member-only video yesterday. If you're a member, you probably already watched that video. I mentioned that Canadian LPs will probably continue to outperform comparatively, and I expected more downside for U.S. names. And sure enough, we had some of our U.S. names down quite a bit today, while some of our other LPs were up. And Tilray's been showing some signs of strength. If we take a look at the weekly time frame here, it's looking really good here on the weekly, getting back above that 10-week moving average. We have a bull cross of the stochastic and the MACD, so it's looking fantastic. We just need to get above that 50 weekly there at 175, and then it's smooth sailing from there, really. But we're back above all of our daily moving averages, back testing the 50-day moving average, and we also have earnings coming up on Tilray at the end of this week on Friday the 10th. It was originally the 9th, but the U.S. Market is going to be closed for the holiday, so the morning holiday. So in order to pay tribute to that, Tilray decided to do their earnings on the 10th. Same thing with Constellation Brands as well. So that will be that the whole sector will be watching for their earnings here on Friday. And I'll be covering that extensively, and I'll do a Tilray earnings prep video at some point soon. But let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you think that this is a good thing that Trudeau's stepping down? Who do you think is going to come in and replace him? Do you think they're going to be positive? Do you think Pierre is going to be positive with the conservative government for the MJ industry? Always love hearing from you. But going in it there, it's Rod with POW Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. Hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, I would appreciate a like, and we'll see you again on the next one.